Hello everyone, welcome to the Old Man and the Read. My name is Jerry. Today I'm going to talk about another of my favorite writers, Wallace Stegner. Wallace Stegner was an American novelist and short story writer, and he was also an environmentalist and a historian. He lived from 1909 to 1993, and he used as a topic in a lot of his books his own life story, but he just wrote some incredibly good books, wonderful prose, and he wrote both fiction and nonfiction. So I'll show you the books of his that I've read. The earliest I have, it was published in 1937. I believe this was his first book, Remembering Laughter. And this follows a woman, Margaret Stewart, and her husband, Alec. They bring Margaret's sister to live with them, and everything goes well for the first several months. But Alec and the sister, Elspeth, become attracted to each other and then start an affair. Then Margaret discovers this, and about the same time Elspeth discovers that she's pregnant, and this event, or this begins a whole spiral of just their whole lives into dismal existence for the next 18 years. In 1943, he published The Big Rock Candy Mountain, and this is a little slightly semi-autobiographical, but this follows the married life of a man, Bo Mason, along with his wife Elsa and their two sons. Bo is always seeking greener pastures and is just never satisfied with what he's doing. The only success he's had has been in bootlegging, and he just goes from one scheme to another. Elsa is the steady rock in the family, and she pretty much keeps things together. In 1950, he published The Preacher and the Slave, and this is a book that was later published in 1969 as Joe Hill, a biographical novel. But this is a fictional biography of Joe Hill, who was a union organizer and songwriter in the early 1900s. And he had been executed for a murder that he may or may not have committed. In 1954, he published Beyond the 100th Meridian, and this is basically a biography of John Wesley Powell. The first part is about his exploration of the Grand Canyon when he and a small party of men in 4 boats shot the rapids on the Colorado River going through the Grand Canyon. And then the second half of the book is basically about his involvement in the opening of the West. He played a major role in establishing much of the policies and that govern the immigration of settlers. In 1961, he published A Shooting Star. This follows a woman named Sabrina Castro, who is married to a doctor who's about 10 years older than her. She's frustrated because of the doctor's busy schedule and starts feeling neglected. So she has an affair, and this sets in her mind that she's going to leave the marriage. She ends up driving all night from her home in Pasadena to her wealthy mother's home in Hillsborough, California. And when she lets her lover know about this, then he doesn't want to risk his own marriage, and so that affair ends, and she goes through a whole series of just really reckless behavior after that. In 1962, he published Wolf Willow, and this is a basically autobiographical. It's just a marvelous tale of Stegner's childhood. He discusses the years that they were homesteading from 1914 to 1920 in Saskatchewan, just across the border from Montana. But he combines the childhood memories with very poetic descriptions of the region and the history of the area, and he discusses a lot about the Native Americans and their dealings with the U.S. Army as compared to that with the Royal Mounted or the Royal Canadian Mounties. In 1967, he published All the Little Live Things, and this features a somewhat cantankerous man named Joe Alston. He's having a hard time dealing with the changes in society that are occurring in the 1960s, and also he's trying to deal with the death of his son. His son had been living a very life of lots of issues, and Joe was a little disappointed in how he had lived that life. But then a new neighbor moves in named Marion with her husband, and Joe's attitude on life slowly begins changing because of Marion's outlook, where she sees only the good in life. In 1971, he published Angle of Repose. This follows a man, Lyman Ward. He's trying to make sense of life after the fact that his wife has left him because he's now confined to a wheelchair. He starts delving into the lives of his grandparents after reading some letters that his grandmother had written about her life when she and her husband moved out west in 1875. In 1976, he published The Spectator Bird, and this again features Joe Alston, who had been in All the Little Live Things. But it's about them, he and his wife, as an older couple, reflecting on their lives while reading a diary that he had kept while they lived in Denmark. In 1987, he published Crossing to Safety, and this is about a lifelong friendship between two couples, one Sally and Larry, and their friends Charity and Sid. Most of the book is just dealing with the trials and tribulations that both couples experience through life, and I thought this was what the book was going to be about, but then Stegner just put in an amazingly incredible story at the very end. In 1990, published Collected Stories of Wallace Stegner, and this is basically just a whole assortment of short stories, most of them just really wonderfully written. Some I was a little disappointed, they seemed to end very abruptly. And the last book I have by Stegner, published in 1992, this is Where the Bluebird Sings to the Lemonade Spring. And this is autobiographical, but it's basically memoirs and essays. Some of the essays are about his early years growing up in various locations throughout the West, and his father's inability to really keep stay in one place. But there's another written when he was 80 years old, and it's about his mother who had died like 50 years before, and his sudden realization of what an amazing woman she was and how he had always just taken her for granted. But there's also a lot of essays on geography and history of the places he lived. And he includes essays on various writers too. But those are the books I've read by Wallace Stegner, an exceptionally good writer, wrote some great books, and so I want to thank you for watching the video, and hopefully I'll see you on another. Thanks.